You shouldn't worry about having a clear discharge on occasion because this is perfectly normal. Now if you're having a vaginal white discharge, then this is a good indication that you do indeed have infection. Your body helps keep the vagina lubricated, germ-free and clean with a normal clear discharge periodically. Usually it will have a thin, clear appearance. Usually you will experience this right around the time of your menstrual cycle. This normal discharge that is generally clear will change slightly in appearance from certain factors. Ovulating, pregnant or breastfeeding are all reasons that may change this for you. It is also possible that an upset in your vagina's pH level is causing this normal discharge to appear a little different. Douching, deodorant soaps or perfume body sprays can easily upset your pH levels. A clearly white or colored discharge means you probably have a yeast infection or a bacterial infection. It seems as if everyone has a slightly unique symptoms of a yeast infection in women. A vaginal white discharge could be thick like cottage cheese or just real thin and a slightly clumpy. Bacterial infections produce a yellowish to brownish watery discharge that could be either thin or thick. The texture and intensity of the discharge are a good indication of the severity of the infection. A vaginal white discharge can go from mildly thin to excessively thick. It's a mild version if you have the thin light version discharge and can be cleared up really quickly. However, if you have the major yeast overgrowth version of cottage cheese consistency thick discharge, it's going to be a bit tougher. This type of heavy discharge can become so severe that it will start to be a vaginal white discharge with blue specks in it. This worst case takes on the appearance of a crumbled blue cheese and is no doubt yeast infection. You need to treat this right away if you are having this type of symptoms of a yeast infection. Now men can have a mild yeast infection without having a single symptom. A good way to tell with them is through their semen. White in color is normal and it should be thin, but if it's thick and extremely white, then there's a good chance that he in fact has a yeast infection. It is definitely a good idea to treat your spouse at the same time as you to ensure no spreading back and forth of the infection, even if no other symptoms are present. Otherwise it is possible for them to just carry the infection and think they are totally fine. Determining which type of infection you have may sometimes be slightly confusing, with a bacterial infection and a yeast infection mimicking each other. The easiest way to tell the difference is just to examine the vaginal discharge that you are experiencing. A yeast infection will always produce a vaginal white discharge with a slightly yeasty smell or possibly no smell at all. Bacterial infections and others will produce a off-white, yellowish to brownish color discharge with a bad odor. If it is thin and clear, then you probably have nothing to worry about. You can reduce the intensity of your normal discharge by remembering to always wipe from front to back to prevent the spread of bacteria and to wear loose clothing with cotton underwear. As far as decreasing your risk of infections goes, doing that helps, as well as changing out of wet bathing suits or wet clothes as soon as possible. Really anything to keep the moisture levels down as much as possible, and showering after sweat-inducing workout and intercourse.